If you're building an application, you probably know that you have to have a good plan. I know there are tools out there that are trying to sell you on one-shot app creation, but while AI is super powerful, it cannot really read your mind. And while you are creating your application, you're going to learn a lot along the way and get a better understanding of what it is that you want to build as you build it. So having a good plan on how to create your application is going to be crucial. It's also important to be able to update that plan so that you can make improvements as you build and learn stuff. In this video, I'd like to take a look at planning capabilities of different AI tools out there. Now, of course, you can always create a features or tasks markdown file and feed that to the AI so that it implements and updates all of the bullet points from that markdown. But I want to take a look at all of the specialized tooling that helps you plan. So first up, let's take a look at Cursor. In Cursor, if you're using version higher than 1.2, you have a setting to-do list that allows agent to create to-do lists to track progress on tasks. If this is enabled, the agent will try and come up with a plan for the application you want to build. So when I ask it, create a plan for an email client application written in Next.js that will have authentication, list of all my emails, and ability to compose a message, the agent should start creating a to-do list. As you can see, Cursor has created a list, but this is not really the to-do feature. It resembles that markdown strategy a little bit more. So let's try to see if we can implement it. Start implementing this. Now I can see that the agent has created a to-do list and is starting to implement all of the features, which is interesting because this means this is a list for the agent itself and not really for you to keep track of. If you want to create your own plan and keep track of that, I recommend using Taskmaster AI. It's a tool that helps you create your plan and then execute it task by task. It even comes with its own MCP, so you can use it in Cursor, VS Code, or any other editor that you like. So on Taskmaster page you can find either a CLI installation and a MCP integration. Taskmaster will require you to enter some API keys. The way things are framed is that you have one API key for your coding agent and then one API key for your research agent. So usually a combination of Anthropic and Perplexity API keys is going to work best. The reason why you want to have those two API keys is that you'll use one for implementation of your task, and then you'll use the other one for planning, assessing complexity of each task, and so on. So once you initialize a project, Taskmaster will create a project scaffold. For Cursor, it will set up a bunch of rules for it to follow and then stores all of the important files in the Taskmaster folder. You start implementing stuff by taking a look at this example PRD file. This will contain all of your project requirements, use technologies, etc. Usually what I do, I copy this example PRD file and then use AI Studio to create a similarly structured PRD file for my own project. Once it's generated, I'm going to copy it, go back to my project, create prd.txt file, paste my output, and ask my agent to parse PRD. This will call the Taskmaster MCP tool, which will parse my PRD file and break it down into tasks. All of the tasks will appear in my tasks JSON file, and I can either ask the MCP to list all of my tasks, or I can go to terminal and call tmlist to list all of my tasks. As you can see, we even have a priority assigned, we can see dependencies, and the last column, which is cut off, contains information on complexity. This is usually done, as I mentioned, with the other API key, such as Perplexity. You can even break it down into subtasks. Basically, this will enable the AI agent to work on smaller tasks while having the big picture in mind. In WindSurf, you also have the ability to plan stuff. Plan mode is fairly new and can be enabled by clicking on this icon. Create a plan for an email client application written in Next.js that will have authentication, all of my emails, and ability to compose a message. Once I hit enter, WindSurf is going to create a markdown file. this plan is actually sort of separated from your project. As you can see, it is not added to the folder, but it is connected to what you were doing. Personally, I really like the idea of being able to switch between the planning and implementing mode. Speaking of switching, Claude Code has a really nice way of doing this as well. Simply by tapping Shift and Tab, you're switching between plan mode and editing mode. While in plan mode, you can create your initial plan for your application. Create a plan for an email client application written in Next.js that will have authentication, list of all my emails, and ability to compose a message. Once Claude creates this plan, you can either keep on editing or start implementing the plan. However, if you want to keep a track of your plan, I suggest not doing what I did here, which is skipping the initialization of the Claude project. The /init command creates a Claude MD file that will contain instructions for Claude and updates as you go. If you just start planning and implementing, there's a chance you're not going to have a good overview of the big picture and simply implement tasks one by one. However, I have created one app which I'm using right now, and it's been working pretty well without the big picture. It's a simple teleprompter app with camera on so that I can see myself. So you could say it is pretty basic. But as I add new features, I don't really have a good way to going back and to review my plan altogether. So Kiro is the new kid on the block, and as you can see from the get-go, it really follows the pattern where you want to split your planning and your coding. You can either vibe and build your stuff, or you can spec and plan your stuff. So if I once again ask it to create a plan for an email client application written in Next.js that will have authentication, list of all my emails, and ability to compose a message, it'll start composing my plan. In this case, however, it is going to create a requirements markdown file right inside my project. What's also interesting, it is that it is going to do it in this Gherkin syntax. When, then, shall, etc. If you ever did BDD, you know what I'm talking about. So after Kiro is done with requirements, you're going to move to the design phase, which once again is going to implement another step of planning that even contains mermaid diagrams. Once this is done, you'll move to implementation plan that's going to create a list of all of your tasks and will even contain subtasks and dependencies. Finally, let's take a look at how we do planning in nut.new. Once you come up with a first prompt, you're going to get asked additional questions. So if you don't really have a good idea of what you want to build or how you're going to be building it, we're going to help you. For example, we'll ask you which email service would your application like to connect to. Once the plan is robust enough, a project plan is being developed. And once that is clear enough, we start implementing features one by one and develop your application. Once the AI builder is done, you'll end up with a full stack ready to use application. We even open up your application, run tests against it, debug it, so that you end up with a working application at the end. So what is your approach to planning? Do you just vibe code your application into existence, create a plan on your own, or let the AI agent build it for you? Let me know in the comments, and I'll meet you in the next video. Happy testing, everyone.